This trip is a part of a greater journey where I travel by train from the Netherlands to Kiel in northern Germany, from where on I took an overnight ferry to Gothenburg in Sweden and continued my way by train to Oslo. I took Norway's fastest train, but also the train that goes on the highest altitude in all of Northern Europe. I traveled by bus and boat towards Vlam, from where on I took the famous Vossebanen. This is the steepest railway in the world that is not using a cogwheel. And of course I also travel with more local trains. This all to show you what it's like to travel on a more sustainable way of transportation and to lower your carbon footprint while traveling. I even took a bus that went on some ferries. And for the last train ride I took a train that called at Norway's most southern railway station. From the town of Kristiansand in the south of Norway I took a ferry back homebound towards the Netherlands. And of course I made trip reports on all of this. And this time on the local train between Myrdal, Voss and Bergen in Norway. I arrived in Myrdal with the Vossebanen. This is a stunning railway line that links the town of Vlam with the town of Myrdal. I do have a trip report on that as well, and you can check it out in the description of this video. Before we dive into the topic of this video, a quick comparison on the environmental impact if you're traveling by train, car and plane on this route. Planes are no serious alternative, by the way. They take way longer because going from and to the airport is not very logical from and to here, and there are not a lot of planes either. So the car is the only competitor, if you want to say it like that, for this route. Of course, trains won't clean the air, but the environmental impact if you're traveling by train is a lot lower than any kind of other motorized transportation. Even though Myrdal is a railway junction, there is no road connecting to Myrdal, although there are some cottages and hotels in the area served by Myrdal station and the nearby Vatnahalsen station. Vatnahalsen is located on the Vlam branch line. Even though there is no town near Myrdal, right next to the station, just outside the railway station, there's a nice coffee shop. However, that's only open in the summertime, so not when I was here, at the beginning of April. This place is stunning, not only in the summertime but actually all year round. Although in the summertime it's easier to explore the area around the railway station than in the wintertime. I think this is also why many places around here are closed in the wintertime. The station is located between two tunnels on the Bergen line, the Graftenhals tunnel to the west and the Vatnahalsen tunnel to the east. Even though there's not that much around here, with this scenery I don't mind if I have to wait a bit at this railway station. There is only one platform and two tracks are located right next to the platform. It might be a little bit confusing, but these are the tracks number 1 and 11. 11 is for the Vossebanen. Of course there are more tracks, there's also a depot over here and another through track. The through track will mainly be used for freight trains and you find them quite a lot on this route. All passenger trains that do pass by do call here. And for the Vlam railway line, this is the starting point or the final station. And for many local trains, this is also the starting point or the final station. I'll get back to that in a bit. The railway station also has a small building at the platform, and over here you find a small cafeteria, a ticket counter, lots of information screens and some vending machines for snacks and drinks. There's not a whole lot over here, but actually it feels kind of cozy at this railway station. But when I was here on an early Saturday morning at the beginning of April, there wasn't much opened. For now, let's take a closer look at the railway map before we take a look at our train for today. This is a railway map of the Oslo Bergen railway line, and this is also showing the regional trains of Bergen. Most of these trains do terminate in Myrdal, but some of these trains do go a little bit further down the road towards Oslo. These local trains are the line R40. R stands for regional and 40 is the line number. These trains will be using the Stadler flirt trains, and you find these trains quite a lot in Europe. However, the interior is not everywhere the same, but I'll show you in a bit. At the outside you find LED screens that will host route information, And icons do host very basic what facilities can be found where. In the international timetable, these trains are listed as IC, what basically stands for intercity and what suggests this is a long distance train. But that's not true at all. These are just very regional trains. Another thing, in the international timetable, the long distance trains between Oslo and Bergen are mentioned with the letter R, and R in general indicates regional train. And I can tell you one thing, the distance from Oslo to Bergen is definitely not for a regional train. Another thing that's very confusing in the railplanner app for Eurail or Interrail, according to the app you need a reservation for these local trains, but that's absolutely not true. You cannot even make a reservation, it's only possible to reserve a seat if you are traveling with large groups. These trains do come in one class only, what is standard class or second class, like basically everywhere in Norway. However, not everything in the train is the same. The biggest part of the train comes in a 2x3 layout, so 3 seats on one side of the aisle and 2 seats at the other side of the aisle, but 1 carriage comes in a 2x2 configuration. And you don't need a special ticket for that. The area for disabled passengers is really big and actually I like it. I think traveling should be easy for everybody, no matter if you're in a wheelchair or not. You find power plugs below the seats, but also within the tables. So also the people traveling in a wheelchair do have their personal power plugs. Even though most platforms are easy accessible, for the platforms that are not easy accessible, there are special ramps near the entrance doors that are near the accessible area. And of course you also find a bigger accessible toilet. This is how the toilet is like, and like usual, the bigger accessible toilets can also be used as a diaper changing facility for babies. For luggage, of course, you can use the overhead luggage racks, and there are some special dedicated luggage racks throughout the carriage as well. However, all seats are folding seats, so if you have a lot of luggage, you can also easily store the suitcases or backpacks right next to you on the ground. One thing that's very obvious to me, but I still see people struggling with it, the overhead luggage racks at the higher parts are smaller than in the, well, lower parts of the train. Even though they're still big enough for my rather big backpack for this journey. There's no dining car within these trains, however, you will find one vending machine for coffee, and the additional luggage racks within the compartments can be used as key holding places as well. Time for a seat tour, and I will start in the area where you find the 3x2 configuration. This is the most cramped area of these trains. The legroom is okay for a commuter train. Within the luggage racks you find a reading light, and all windows all over the train do have a sunscreen, ideal for a midsummer night. Coat hangers are integrated within the luggage racks and in the seats in front of you if you have the airline style seats. All seats do have a personal power plug right under the seat, and free Wi-Fi is available. Screens throughout the train at the ceiling will host route information, and basic maps with what facilities can be found where are located right above all entrance doors. One part of the train, only one carriage, is slightly different and comes in a 2x2 configuration. This looks much better, to be honest. I also moved here after some time. And over here there's another coffee machine. These seats are way nicer, and especially if you want to work from your laptop, for example, within these trains. The airline style seats do have a fold-out table, a coat hanger in the seats, and well, yeah, it's the basic stuff. It's better than what I showed you earlier on. The seats can be adjusted with a handle at the side and below the seats, and the seats that do face each other in the base seats do have a nice table you can fold out as well. For the rest, it's basically the same as the other parts of the train, but then a bit better. There are no garbage cans near the seats. Instead of that, you find garbage cans near the entrance doors, and you can also separate your waste to recycle, to make traveling by train even a bit more sustainable. For the last part of this video, I'll show you some views from the train between Myrdal via Voss to Bergen. I'm right now in Bergen. I haven't got that much time. I went for a little wander through the city. It's a cute town. It's really worth visiting. But oh, this is a crazy planned trip. So right now I'm heading back to the railway station to pick up my luggage I left in the luggage box. And then I will go to the bus station, which is right next to the railway station. And I will take a bus to Stavanger. Apparently this is a kind of a special bus. I don't know exactly, we'll find out. And there will be a trip report about that as well. And then I will just show you the railway station and the bus station of Bergen. For now, that's it for this video. I hope you liked it or this has been a helpful video to you. If so, please give me a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more, just hit the subscribe button. See you on my next video. This channel is mainly focusing on long distance and international train, sometimes ferry and even sometimes bus traveling, to show you what it's like to travel on a more sustainable way of transportation. Of course, you can find a lot of trip reports on this channel, but also in the description of this video on YouTube you find a link to a map, and on this map you can find all trip reports.